Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Witching Hour podcast. I am your host, as always, John Royceland. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for showing back up and supporting. Tonight, I have another film review. The movie is Dariuss. It is a 2023 art house film. Runs about an hour and 15 minutes. The movie is written and directed. Sorry. I was trying to figure out which way to go with this. The synopsis first, my thoughts first. I'm going to give you the background information on who created the film. It is written and directed by Guerrilla Metropolitana. He's an Italian independent filmmaker currently residing in London. He in the past was a musician and studied the arts, and it definitely shows in this film. So the basis of the film is the loss of a child, and how people deal with it. There are four characters in the film. The actors' names, I don't know any of them particular. I don't, even when I IMDb'd them, I don't recall them even having any actual work available. This film it's like a car crash. And what I mean by that is when you see an accident as you're driving by it on the road, you know damn well you're going to look. And there's something quite odd about this car crash because you can't stop watching it. It's honestly kind of hard to explain. Well, I shouldn't say every moment of it, but the basis of it is that it takes place in a small British home. You get to see a small child in a field, kind of just playing and dancing, always reaching for something on a tree, but not quite far enough to can't grasp at it. You see what is assumably the father in a car, kind of going nuts. He's eating, staring off of a bridge. You see a woman, possibly the mother. A lot of masturbation scenes by the mom, if it is in fact the mom. So here's the reason why this film is so hard to explain. And when I say hard, I don't mean bad. It's bad that I can't relay it to you quite easily, but in actually talking to the director, his own quotes is that the film is up for tons of interpretation, which it is, which is why me telling you what it's about, if you actually go and watch it, you're going to get something completely different, possibly. All I can honestly do is tell you what the basis of the story is, which is the loss of a child and the mental breakdown of people, or how it affects each person individually. So, like I said, there are four people in the film and one cat. Now, the interesting thing about this film, and the director actually brought this to my attention, is that you can actually watch this film in reverse and you will get the same outcome as what it opens up with, which is really kind of fascinating, because after he told me that, I actually sat back down, and I had already watched the film prior to he and I talking, and I sat there more and more and I thought about it, and I thought about the exact opening sequences. And sometimes sequences in this film can be sounds. There's a lot of child laughter in the film. There's a constant drip, drip, drip that carries on through the film. And the film almost pushes you to the brink of insanity. Now, as I mentioned, the film is actually just over an hour, hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes, somewhere along those lines. The first 45 minutes or so, you're kind of like wondering what caused this car crash that I'm staring at. I don't get it. And then the last 30 to 33 minutes of this film are pretty much how I mentioned it pushes you to insanity. Well, it shows you the insane. The film gets extremely graphic, can be quite disturbing to some. You actually get to see the writer director Guerrilla does actually star in the film as well. I'm sorry, there is no dialogue in the film whatsoever, which I think is great because it actually does make it go that much further into your own personal interpretation of, oh my God, what might they be saying to each other? What is it that they're expressing to each other? And there's very little, interaction, conversation wise, that does happen in the film. Um, uh, yeah, this is definitely something like, it's one of those very, very rare films that you see. Um, and I apologize for the ums because I keep hiccuping and hesitating on how to and where to go with this film review. I almost want to label it extreme horror. Um, like I said, towards the end of the film, it does get quite graphic. Um, Prior to that, there's a lot of, picture yourself going into a haunted house, one of the amusement haunted houses, and there's people screaming and strobe lights, and your eyes are drawn to things that might be kind of Edgar Allan Poe-ish, almost Telltale Heart, that kind of, the beating heart, the noise underneath the floor that kind of drives you to insanity. There's a lot of that builds up to the end of this film, which, like I said, if you were to honestly be able to watch this in reverse, it does make perfect sense, and it's very disturbing. Again, no dialogue, just hearing different effects and sounds. Um, the film presently is available for any of my listeners across the pond over in UK. It is available on Amazon, with the distributed by an independent distributor, who used, there was two different artwork covers, and in the UK they have allowed them to go with the phallic symbol artwork cover. Now, in the good old US of A, we're not allowed to see them kind of things. So we get the alternative cover, which you are seeing as the picture on the opening sequence of the thumbprint on the YouTube picture on the link itself. But SRS Cinema obviously went with the less controversial cover. At any rate, in closing, if you go into this with an open mind, I really do think you're going to sit back with the remote in your hand afterwards and be like, and then you're going to try and explain it to somebody. And then when you explain it to somebody else, it's going to be even different. And then that first person you saw that you explained it to, they're going to watch it, and their interpretation is going to be completely different from yours. and so on and so forth. They're all going to understand the storyline in their own head. The film, quote unquote, from Guerrilla himself, it is a cinematographic LSD film. Watching the movie, it feels like you are on acid. If you've never taken acid, watch the film. It's that easy. It is borderline extreme horror, as mentioned. This is going to be one of those films that is going to be interpreted and is going to be appreciated, loved, or hated. It is going to be a very special audience that will appreciate this film. Again, keep the word art house in mind, and definitely keep LSD in your pocket for later, or possibly for as soon as you start the film. Anyhow, that's what I've got for you. I definitely want to thank Guerrilla for reaching out to me, for sending me this film for consideration for review. I was glad to do it. Anybody else, any other filmmakers that are out there, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me through any social media platform and or at the Witching Hour podcast at yahoo.com. That's it. That's a lot to remember and think of all in one jumbled up mess. You can also find me, like I said, on all social media platforms, obviously right here on YouTube. And while you are here, please hit the subscription button down below. Tell your friends, share the projects that I give to you. I am here doing this for you. My wallet is still empty. I don't get shit for this, just the enjoyment of continuing to bring you folks things, nits and bits and pieces of the horror genre. I've got some great interviews coming up. I got some more movies to watch and interviews and movie reviews and all kinds of great stuff for you guys. So again, thank you for all your support. It does truly mean a lot to me. Also, Roku TV. If you've got a Roku, scroll over to the apps. You can find me somewhere in their 5,000 apps that they offer. The Witching Hour podcast. You can download it, catch up on any of my previous stuff while sitting on your couch. My big fat head on your 65-inch screen, all for free. Keyword free. You guys, I'm John with the Witching Hour podcast. Thank you as always. I definitely appreciate your support. And as always, remember to please keep it evil.